Hello and welcome to Henrythejedi.com. My name is Henry the Jedi.
Now today we'll be taking a look at yet another amazing tutorial more related to satellite tracking navigation that we've produced earlier on our website, and that became quite a popular tutorial, I must say. So today we're taking it even a step further by including more exciting elements, to make it even more exciting. So here is a look at what we'll be creating today. Okay, let's kick off by creating a new composition. As you can tell, of course, it has been a long time since I last checked out After Effects, but let's see. I believe I still have the feel of it deep in the heart. Okay, I believe it's composition. New composition. We are going to rename this composition here to ring. And its resolution is very important. Okay. First, we are going to uncheck lock aspect ratio so that we can, of course, manipulate it on our own. And here's what needs to happen. For the width, we are going to enter 1500, and for the height, of course, 1500. Okay. The duration, well, depends on you. I'm going to set mine like something like maybe 4 minutes or so. Okay. Let's just see. Composition settings. Yeah, it's square pixels, as you can see. Okay. And let's create a new solid for it. So layer, new solid. And yeah, hit OK. Okay. And then up next, we need to create the bars, or the thing that's actually going to make up the. We are then going to try and recreate the little bars that we really need. So to do that, we're going to create a mask. As you can see, we're selecting the rectangular mask tool. And then, yeah, we come in here. In fact, something needs to be adjusted with our file, with our composition here. Let's go to composition settings. We're going to reduce the height to something like 400. Okay. Yeah. Select the solid and then let's go to layer, transform, fit to comp, so that of course it gets squashed in there. Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead. I think, yeah, let's go ahead, select the rectangular mask tool, and of course let's come and create a tall rectangular bar there. And as you can see, of course, we won't be able to tell much as to what is going on. So we go to layer, solid settings, and change its color to a completely white color, like that. Okay, perfect. And then let's just double click on the mask and then just scale it down a bit on the width. Okay. Just push its height up a bit. Okay. And a bit to the edge. Because the idea is to create everything that makes up the final animation only using After Effects, so that you don't need other tools to achieve the result. Okay. Up next, of course, we need to duplicate this line here. So we'll select the solid line and we'll go to Edit, Duplicates. Of course, now we have a secondary solid. And of course, hold down Shift and then move it to the other side. Now, while here, we're going to double click. Yeah, let's double click the mask and crunch down just the height like that. Perhaps even, yeah, just up to there. Okay. And then we go to Edit, Duplicate, or press Ctrl D, and of course begin to move them. Edit, Duplicate. As you can see, we're using the Shift key on the keyboard just to move these things a bit more quickly. So we'll go to Edit again, Duplicate. As you can see, of course, you can simply use the Ctrl D key so that, of course, we can work with it quicker. So I'm going to press Ctrl D. Ctrl D. Ctrl D. Basically, the idea is to fill up the gaps between them with our bars. Okay. Ctrl D. Control D, Control D. Yeah, I believe that's about enough. Now, of course, the composition has to be shrunk down a bit, so we go to composition, composition settings. The width, let's reduce it to something like 1300. Let's go again, composition, composition settings, reduce it to 1100. Yeah, that's perfect. And now, of course, as you can see, things are out of place. So let's see, that's the parent one, that's the main one on that side. So we're going to select each of these, hold down shift and select the top one, and of course we're going to change the parent. Okay, let's rename this actually, select and press enter. Let's call it main bar. Okay, so select each of these, holding down shift, and of course for the parent we're going to pick the main bar. Okay, now you can see, as you can see, it updates there. If you can't see these options here, you simply have to expand this option here in your After Effects down there. Okay, just to expand so that we can see that, and pick, select the pick width, and of course pick the main bar as the main parent. Now select the main bar and then hold down shift, and of course we are now moving everything, as you can see, to the other side of the world. Yeah, and that seems to work perfectly, of course. Okay, please go ahead and save your file. Okay, now just one more adjustment. Let's go to composition, composition settings, just change its height to something like 500. Okay, select the main bar. Now you can see, of course, its usefulness, because now we simply select it and of course move it down, and as you can tell for yourselves, of course, everything goes with it. We're going to double click on its mask. No, that doesn't seem to work. Let's see, we are simply scaling it upwards, of course, as you can see for yourselves. Yeah, that's what we need to do. Okay, now let's go, in fact let's call this, select the ring composition, rename it to bars. Okay, and then we're going to create a new composition. This time we're going to call it ring. And now its width will need to be 1500, and the height as well 1500. Okay, yeah, and into this, of course, you're going to bring the bars composition, as you can see. Okay, now if you're like me and you realize, the bars look like a piano layer, you know, don't worry, we're not about to play the piano here, we're about to do some After Effecting. Okay, and by the way, since I haven't been stuck so far, it really means that I still have After Effects running through my veins, you know. Oh yeah, so let's continue. Now we need an effect that will enable us to turn this into a circle. Okay, and now of course this is a part where we do some magic here at Henrythejedi.com. So to do that, we're going to go to Effect, because first this needs to be duplicated. Of course, we can't just use one layer to use. So we go to Effect, Stylize Motion Tile. You can see it, of course. Now, of course, this is the guy we need to tell, so that After Effects can duplicate this object throughout. So we go here to the option which says Output Width, and we increase it up a bit. You can do, of course, for yourself by adjusting this option here. We can spread the bars throughout time. Okay, so let's leave it at, let's see, I don't know how far it stretches right now, but let's see, 600. Okay, just set the output width to 600 for now. And then of course we need to turn this into a circle. And so let's go ahead and do the following special effect. We're going to go to Effect, Distorts, Polar Coordinates. There it is. Okay, yeah. Now of course this will do nothing unless we tell it, of course, what to do. This will be responsible for turning this into a circle, as I'm about to show you. So here's what we do. We go to the polar coordinates interpolation settings, and we push the values up. As you can see, of course, this is definitely not a circle because it bends incorrectly. So instead, we're going to change the option, the type of conversion, change it to rect to polar. Okay, and then with it, remember, this is how it starts, right? And then of course we're going to push these values up. Aha, can you see what it does? We start with this straight line, and of course we adjust the values. Let me just zoom in here. Yeah, we adjust the values until, of course, this becomes, aha, a beautiful circle, of course. You see that? This is truly wonderful. Again, this is without the effect. It's a straight line. With the effect, it becomes a circle. We did that simply by adjusting the interpolation of the polar coordinates. Creative, powerful tools, of course, of After Effects. Now, we have a little problem. The bars are too small compared to the composition into which they fit. So, of course, we need to fix this problem. So let's go back to the bars composition and change the settings again. We're going to go to, let's see, composition settings. Let's see. The width, which one should we actually focus on? I think the height is what we worked on. Change the height to 1100, okay. Yeah, like that. Let's go back to the rings composition. Aha, now of course, you can see by simply adjusting those parameters, of course, we have more space to work with. Back to the bars, and I think, let's go back to the composition settings again. Change these values here to 1.7, 1700 or 1700. Okay, 1700 by 1700, and then hit OK. Let's get back and see whether we've made any difference, whether it's too big or too small. Aha, you can see, of course, it gets chopped off at certain areas. So we're going to go to composition settings again. The width back to 1100. Yeah. Back to the ring composition. Yeah, that's correct. Now you can see, of course, we have quite a nice circular object in our scene. And of course, as you can tell for yourself, our piano bars are too long, so we need to shorten them. To do that, we go back to the bars and select the main one, of course, the main bar. And we're going to press S for the scale. We're going to unlock, click on the lock there to unlock the scaling coordinates so that we can manipulate them individually. And all we need to fiddle with is the Y coordinate, because the first coordinate is for the scaling on the X axis and the second one is for the Y axis. So we're going to crunch that down to like 20%, so that of course now the bars are really small. Go back to the ring composition and we should see a difference. Aha, as you can see, of course, the bars have become thinner. Not thinner, but shorter. Back to them. I think they need to be even shorter, maybe to 10%. And of course, they also need to be thinner, maybe to 60% or so, like that. Let's just see what effect this has on the other animation. Yeah, it's beginning to look good. Okay. Now, let's see. Yeah, let's select the main bar again. Yeah, we're going to shift and move it to the edge. Yeah, right there. See what that says to After Effects. Okay, it's looking good, I must say. And back to the bars. Here's what needs to happen. Which one is that one? Okay, it's bar number 1. We're going to delete that as well as that. And this one needs to be worked on. Press S to bring up the scaling. And then uncheck the lock, of course, and we need to scale it a bit up. Not like that, sorry. Actually, let's do it the proper way, and that is, we're going to select the anchoring tool and move the anchor here. Not like that. Undo pen behind. It's actually called the pen behind tool. I'm actually referring to the anchoring option that we get in 3D Max. Let's do this. Select our object, double click to select the mask. Just bring the mask up first like that. Okay. And then let's see. Actually, why are we struggling? Well, we could actually do this. We do the following. Select that, delete. Select the main bar and then go to edit, duplicate, move it all the way up, of course. Its parent 2 must be this one. Now main bar 2 must be moved, of course. So shift and move it accordingly. Remember, keep the spacing more or less uniform throughout. Yeah. That's how we should do it, okay? And then we're going to select these children here in between, and then we go to edit, duplicate, and then of course move them too out of the way. Yeah, okay, perfect. And then again, this main bar here, we go to edit, duplicate, and of course move that to the edge. Yeah, hopefully somewhere there. Let's go back to the ring. I just hope we haven't really made a mess of things here. Woohoo, you can see that we're actually doing very well, okay, except for one thing, and that is the last bar shouldn't be there. So select and delete, and that means that the rest of these objects here have to be shifted a bit. Don't worry, it's not a big deal. So simply select them, yeah, and move one step. Okay, we're just trying to create some kind of even spacing between them. Deselect the last one, move it a bit to the side. Deselect that, move it a bit to the side. Sorry. Yeah, move that a bit. We're just trying to close off the gap there on the side, okay? Okay. Which are those? Okay, let's delete that for now. I'm just afraid we might have an even flow of things. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and delete these, except that one. Delete those as well. And move that to that side, okay? Delete that as well. Even that can go, okay? Now, with this one selected, let's rename it to little bar, okay? And then we go to edit, duplicate, of course, or perhaps let's delete that. Select the little bar, go to effect, stylize motion tile, and try and duplicate the output width, as you can see me doing. We just want to see what happens, if you're going to get any results, that is. Yes, it does duplicate them, as you can see me doing, although the widths are a bit too small for our liking. Select the scale and unlock the scaling and try to make it thicker. No, that won't work. Okay, let's do it the proper way. Okay, select the little bar, edit, duplicate, shift and move it about. Control D, Control D, Control D. I'm doing it very quickly so that of course we can get to the main event sooner. Okay, now of course this just needs to be spread a bit properly between these two. Not that people will notice, but you know, just to keep things flowing nicely. Okay, I think that's about acceptable. Okay, now select all the little bars. Go to edit, duplicate, and of course move those copies all the way to the other side like that. Great. Okay, now let's go back to the ring and we should see a difference. Aha, now this is what we've been looking for all along. Okay. Now that we have our bars, some adjustments that you might want to make are the following. You might want to go to the motion tile, and under the output width settings, you might turn this up all the way to 1000, for instance. Press enter, and then we're going to see just what After Effects does with our layer. Of course, it duplicates them even more, and whew, it looks even better that way, you know. Okay, let's move on. Now, the power of After Effects lies in the fact that you can easily reuse assets throughout your compositions. So here's what we're going to do. These bars have to be renamed, so we're going to select the bars composition, rename it to bars primary because they'll be the main ones, and that of course means we are going to create let's see, just drag and drop this to a new composition here. Rename this here to bars secondary. Okay. Now, as you can see, these bars here don't have any effect that we can apply to them, except of the following. We are going to turn them upside down. So we're going to press S for the scaling, and then unlock the lock there for the scaling, of course, and we are going to scale them inversely. So for the scale on the y-axis, we're going to enter -100. Yeah, that way, of course, they go upside down. Okay. And then let's see. Yeah, these rings here, we can then rename them to rings primary. Okay. And then, of course, again, we're going to drag this to a new composition. Rename this to ring secondary. Okay. Double click on the ring secondary. As you can see, of course, we have these rings here that we don't need, so we delete those. Let's go ahead and drag the bars secondary to the composition here. And then we are going to be copying and pasting the effects we've already used so that we don't waste time. We go to the ring primary composition, select the bars primary, and then pick its special effects. Go to edit, copy. Okay, as you saw me doing, edit, copy. Then we jump to the ring secondary, open the effects controller, select the bar secondary, and of course you go to edit, paste. That way it pastes the special effect also to this layer here. Okay. Our problem is, of course, they still show like the primary rings. Oh no, my bad. Let's see. This is the ring primary. This is the ring secondary. In fact, I think I'm the one confusing them. The secondary rings are the ones supposed to be like this, pointing inwards, while the primary rings are supposed to be, of course, pointing outwards. So let's do some quick renaming of things here. Let's see. This is supposed to be for the secondary, so rename this to ring secondary. Sorry about that, it's my mistake. That means, of course, let's go to this one. Now these have to be, let's rename this to, let's see. These have to be the pointing outwards, so that's the ring primary. Okay, remember the whole idea is that it should be pointing outwards, while the second one, of course, are pointing inwards. Okay, let's go deep into them. This is pointing outwards. Yes, that's the bars primary, and of course that's pointing downwards. That's the bars secondary. Yeah, now of course we have the right stuff. Okay. Yeah, and then we are going to create a new composition. Now this needs to be, of course, for your final output, so we're going to make it high definition TV, just 720p, you know. Call this main comp. Okay, and of course to these we're going to bring the ring primary and the ring secondary into the table. And of course, let's do this quickly. The primary rings, press up the scaling, they have to be bigger, sort of. Or let's do this. If you check well, you notice After Effects tends to begin to be getting a bit slow. So let's do this. I'm going to show you a nice way, you know, of working with these layers here. Let's go to the primary, because we might encounter a problem in that when we want to render After Effects, because of the fact that there are these special effects here which are forever busy, After Effects might give us a headache when it comes to memory issues. In other words, it might take us too long to render something that After Effects has already created for us. So what's the idea? Well, the idea is to render these as pre-rendered assets and then simply reuse those assets throughout our animation. So let me show you what I'm on about, because this is really about memory saving issues. First, let's start with the ring primary. Okay, there we are. Now, here's what we need to do. We go to composition, save frame as file. Okay, and of course we're going to rename this to something nice. As you can see, it's called ring primary. Just remove those time info at the end, and then hit save. Okay, and then again, remember we went to composition, we selected it, we went to composition, save frame as, file. That's where we were. Okay, so now it's in the render queue, and it's of course waiting to be rendered. Now this can be anything that you want. So in our case, just to save memory, we're going to make it a targa, not a targa, a PNG file. Okay, the most important thing here is to make sure that After Effects saves the RGB channel and the alpha channel, so that of course we can use a transparent background. Okay, the depth of course is million plus colors, and then hit OK. Okay, and then of course hit render. So After Effects tells us it's very happy. Extend your output and then click on the link there so that we can see of course what After Effects has just output. And this is the ring primary object. Double click it to open. This will show you of course like that, and that's the file that you've created of the primary ring right there. And then we are going to drag or do the following. Let's see. We are going to bring it now into the composition. So go to File, Import, File, and then we're going to bring our ring primary layer there. There it is. Let's go to the main composition and of course bring our ring primary object there. There it is now. If you press R, can you see how quickly we can manipulate the scene, because of course it's pre-rendered. And mind you, let's just see, is it transparent? Oh, it doesn't seem to be transparent, unfortunately. Let's go back to the ring primary object again. Let's go to the bars primary, making sure we don't have a transparent background. I wonder why. Oh, my mistake. It's actually updating because when I scrub through, I can see the transparent background. Just that After Effects is taking its time to update. So I'm going to do the following. I'm going to save my file and go to Edit, Purge, All, so that After Effects can clean up some useless memory space. You see that now? Now we can easily update. You can see, of course, we have our transparent background. Let's go to the main composition. You see, of course, our layer is transparent. When you turn off the checkerboard, you see that we can see through, of course. Okay. Up next is the time for the secondary ring, of course, to be rendered. So let's go to ring secondary. And of course, we go to composition, save frame as, file, scroll down, change the name, of course, to ring secondary, save. Under output, of course, it needs to be a PNG file. Remember, RGB plus alpha. Okay. Render. Great. Okay. Back in the composition, file, import, file, and of course we bring our secondary layer right there. Great. Go to the main composition and of course bring the secondary layer. Great. Select the secondary layer, press the scaling, and of course bring that down because it needs to be, of course, on the inside of the primary composition of the primary ring. Select the primary ring, and then of course we are going to link the secondary ring so that it can be parented by the primary one. Okay. So select now the primary ring, and when you try to scale it down, you can see, of course, things go with it beautifully. And if you press R and you try to rotate, of course, you can see they both follow the same route. Brilliant. Okay. 10 steps closer to our final result. Okay. Up next, we're going to work on the bars that will need to stand on the sides. Of course, as before, pre-using our pre-made object. Just drag this to a new composition here and call it vertical of, I think I've got a more creative name for it. It's from one of my favorite movies, Vertigo. Yeah. Okay. It's nothing meaningful. It's just a bunch of information that we're going to use. Anyways, in here, of course, we're going to delete that information. Let's go to the bars primary, and then in here select everything, and we go to edit, copy. Let's go to the vertical composition, go to edit, paste. Yeah. And then while we are here, we need to rotate things, and we have to do it in the following way. Yeah, we have to do it with that one. Let's just rename it. Oh yeah, when you press enter, you can see, of course, it reveals the proper names. Press R for the rotation. Let's see. Yeah, you see that? Because it's the primary one, of course, it enables us to drive everything else. So we have to rotate it to 90 degrees. Okay? In fact, let's bring it to the root. Not to the root, but to the top of all the compositions, because it's the one that we are touching most of the time. Yeah, so sorry. Yeah, we rotate and then we move it. Press the scaling, uncheck the scaling, and we are going to apply a minus 60. No, not like that. Let's undo that. How about a minus 10? Yeah, so that of course it inverts them the other way around. Perfect. Push it to the edge more or less there. And then this doesn't need much, so we're going to select that one there and hit delete. Select the one there and move that down. Okay. And then of course, as you can imagine, we are left with the middle ones, the little bars, that is. Let's see. Sorry. Let's just select all of them. All of the little bars. Yeah, and then hit, of course, delete. We're left with that one. Edit, duplicate. And then of course, from there on, we go ahead and press Ctrl D.